Okay, we continue with. Okay, we are continuing with our series on Shovim Tat. This series is on multiple platforms. What we're going to say today is very much based on what we said last session, which was Shovim Tat, What's There About, Part 4. If you haven't listened to it, it's worthwhile to get to. And if it's not on the particular platform you hear me on, private message me and I'll send you a link where you can get it. But to recap, the one of the most major principles that we said last time, about the month of Shvat, that it's a month that totally belongs to Shovavim Tat. And we explained that you have to view, three things as upside down trees. Right? First of all, the world itself, right? Because if the roots are where you draw your sustenance from, so Earth gets its sustenance from heaven, right? So our sustenance starts up there, and it branches down, and every world and every universe gets its sustenance from the world above it. Right? That's the world, right? And that's the Torah also. Torah's from heaven. And it gets pulled down through all the universes, all the way down to Earth. And it's like a tree in the way that, Torah is not like a ball that used to be in heaven and God threw the ball to Earth. Nah. Torah branched out like a tree. It branched out from heaven to earth. And that's why when you learn Torah, right, you are connected to Hashem as if you're in heaven with Hashem, right? Torah never stopped being in heaven. It never stopped being God's wisdom and God's will. Matan Torah, the miracle of Matan Torah, is that it branched out from heaven all the way down to earth, right? And what's the third thing that's an upside down tree? Man. And man is likened to a tree. Yodam Eitz HaSoda. Our head is our roots. Our head is our roots. Well, what's in our head? Our emunah. We believe in God, right? We believe in God, right? That our faith is our anchor. Our faith is our roots, right? Our commitment. So our head, and from the head it spreads to the heart. And based on that, we do our actions. We do our actions based on conviction, based on emunah in Hashem, emunah that the Torah is true. So those are our roots. Now, on a deeper level, we know that, just like there are different worlds, different universes, the higher universe sustains the lower universe. There are levels of soul. There's the nefesh in the body. Right, there's the ruach that's half in the body, half out, and then the thing called nishama per se is outside of the body, and it just emanates to the brain, messages. It helps you understand Torah, and then above that is the sharshei neshama, the chaya and yechida, and the higher levels of soul sustain the lower levels of the soul, just like the higher universes sustain the lower universes. Heaven supports earth, by bringing the sunshine, comes down from heaven to earth. The rain comes from heaven to earth, right? And same thing even above that, the spiritual realms, give to the realms of the celestial bodies and where the clouds are, and that all trickles down to us. Same thing, our higher levels of soul give energy to our lower levels of soul. It's one big tree branching out with our roots in heaven. Now, the truth is, on a deeper level, the Gemara says, Kol mi she'ein bo da'at l'sof golem imkom. Anyone who doesn't have da'at, doesn't have common sense. His perception of reality is off. He eventually goes into exile. And the Maharal explains with this idea. Our head is our roots. And a person doesn't have common sense. He's not hooked in. Not having common sense is to not have roots in reality. You're not... you're detached, and that's why you're going to lose your place, right? A person holds his position, if he has a strong mind, which means strong perception of reality. If you have a weak perception of reality, you don't hold your position, not mentally, not emotionally, and eventually also you lose it all and you lose your house also. And that's also the Gemara. The Gemara says, "Kol mi sheyesh bo das, kamil shenivna beit hamikdash yamav." But if you do have that, it's like you have a beit hamikdash. What's a beit hamikdash? We spoke about this earlier in this very series of why the Shovavim in a leap year includes tat, truma, tetzav, which are the plans for the Mishkan, right? Because on this year we merit to break through to a level of revelation on earth that's called the beit hamikdash, having the Shechina in a particular place. That's our roots. Right, that's our point center, and we go aliyah l'regel to get recharged, go back to the source, and get spiritually recharged, like to go back to your roots, right? So a person who has dot, he's rooted in his mind is there, and that's his roots in God, right? But from dot it goes down to the heart, and from the heart down to your actions, and from your actions, to your other actions that are, in your legs and between your legs, where you have to do the big action of, fighting Yetzer Hara, which goes back to, again, to recap what we said last time. Right? The fruits are at the outermost level of the tree. You have the trunk. The trunk the roots don't make fruit. The trunk does not make fruit. The branches make fruit. But it's not, the fruit is not inside the branches. The fruit is what comes out of the branches, which means that the fruit, which is the product, is the final outer level, right? So, at the tip of the branch is the fruit, at the tip of the branch, right? So it's like the fruit is actually furthest away from the roots, right? It's on the outermost level, furthest away from the roots. All right, and that's where the product is. You make product by pulling down, just like in the tree, it makes the fruit when it could get the energy from the roots all the way up the trunk, and then the trunk into the branches, and then the fruit pops out at the end. And that's the whole goal. Sof maaseh, which is the fruit b'machshava tchil. It's always why you planted the tree. All right. The product is the difference that it makes, how it changed things, and that's at the end. You don't change things at the beginning. You don't change things in the middle. You change things at the end. That's where things change. That's where the final change. Get it? Final change. Gemar pri, right? Gemar maaseh, right? So now the Torah is called the tree because it makes a change in the world by coming down to this world. Right, and we explained this in earlier sessions, that during these parashiyot, the world is getting its foundation, it's getting its right to exist, and that's what's making fruit. Because the chidush, the product is that divinity, kedusha, is here on earth, shechina is here on earth, and earth therefore changes. Earth becomes a holy place, and we're going to discuss in later sessions how ultimately earth is going to become even holier than heaven. Even holier than Shamayim when this process is complete, right? But in the meantime, we're making a difference. The difference is not made in heaven. Heaven doesn't need fixing. Heaven is fixed already. You got to bring the Torah to earth to put Kedusha here. That's a chiddush, right? With the power of the Torah to fight evil and to conquer evil, that's a chiddush. That's fruit. That's the Torah branch. When Torah branches down here, it makes amazing fruit, new products. Because the world as is, Gashmiut, physical world, is not holy. And it's full of evil and full of temptation. And the Torah comes down and it fights the evil and it converts it to good. That is the fruit. That's a product. That's something new. That's new fruit, right? And that's what the Torah does. That's what happens. That's what happens ultimately when we have a Beit HaMikdash on earth. The power of the Torah becomes manifest, right? In a way you can actually see it. It's a Beit HaMikdash where you can see the Shekhinah. That's called the Torah came out to earth is here so strong that it's already visible and tangible, right? And that's what the person has to do. And that is what we explained already more than once in this series, right? That you have to view that in your head you have your emunah, right? And we connected to the shesh mitzvot tamidiot that a person could do all the time. It's shesh mitzvot tamidiot, the 6 constant mitzvahs. It's just part of being Jewish. You could be doing them constantly. A good Jew is always doing these 6 mitzvot. He believes in God. He believes that there's a God. He doesn't believe in other gods, right? That's lo yelcha. He believes that God is one, echad, right? That's all in the head. And then it spreads to his heart. Ava and Yira. He loves God and he fears God. So now we're up to 5. And then it spreads even lower because based on Ava and Yira, you do things. But then it goes down low. What's the lowest level that now reaches the legs? Lo tatuachel vavchem v'achrei einechem. Do not stray after your desires. Keep focused. Everything should be l'shem shemaim. And of course, the biggest test is in the Brit. But if you brought it down to the Brit, you completed the whole, the whole continuum from roots to fruit. All right. So now you might ask, well, okay, so I understand, you fight your desires, and your desires, that's where the Brit is, the greatest struggle of against evil desires. But how does it connect more deeply with fruit, which is what Tu B'Shvat's about, the month of Shvat, right? And what does that, and that's also how we build a Jewish family, right? So here's the deal, okay? When we said that the heavenly sustains the earthly, and the higher world, even in the spiritual worlds, the higher world sustains the lower world, right? So it's not that the spiritual energy of the higher world, let's say 3 worlds up, let's go 3 worlds up, okay, that the kedusha of Olam HaBriya, it doesn't stop at Olam HaYetzira, right? Kedusha, it doesn't take up space. It's everywhere. Certainly Olam HaAtzilut is everywhere, right? But here's the thing. You need to have antennas to capture that kedusha. Only though the world directly beneath it has like antennas, the ability to absorb the kedusha from the world directly above it, right? And the world beneath it, Asiya cannot absorb directly, right, from Bria. It can only absorb directly from Yetzirah, right? It's not on the frequency. It doesn't have receptors. And Olam HaAtzilut for sure is everywhere. Torah is everywhere. God is everywhere. The Shekhinah, even not just God, his Shekhinah is everywhere. Do we see it everywhere? No. The Shekhinah could be revealed in the Beit HaMikdash, can't be revealed anywhere else, even though the Shekhinah is everywhere, right? Shekhinah is everywhere, but you don't have antennas to pick it up. And a world can only receive from the world directly above, right? And that world can only receive the world directly above it, not the world to above it, right? But even then, here's an amazing thing, right? Even then, you think that it's just all automatic. It's like, what comes up must come down. Okay, so what goes from one world, trickles down, but it's only absorbed by the world directly beneath it, because only that's, close enough. It's a little bit more complicated than that, right? Like radio waves are everywhere. We gave the example of the Shekhinah being everywhere. Radio waves are everywhere, right? But only if you turn on the radio, you'll hear those radio waves that are everywhere. But you can't hear them if you don't turn on the radio, right? Even though the radio waves are everywhere, right? The television waves are everywhere, right? But you're not going to see those images carried by those waves unless you have television, right? Not advocating getting a television. It's tarif, right? But here's the thing, right? You need receptors. And even the way one world receives from the world directly above it, there has to be like antennas. There is such a thing, God forbid, that a world will be deprived of its antennas. So now we said heaven doesn't need fixing because heaven has antennas to get from the world directly above it. But earth needs antennas. You see, the problem with earth, that Gashmiut is not just a little bit less holy than Ruchaniut, it's a lot less holy. So the difference between Gashmiut and Ruchaniut is a lot bigger than the difference between Olam HaYetzirah and Olam HaBriya, right? Olam Yitzhak is fixed enough that it could get. Now, even on a deeper level, even there's like a central column, which is the Beit HaMikdash. There's a Beit HaMikdash in every world, right? Beit HaMikdash Shomal, Mechum Beit HaMikdash Shomata, right? Even those higher worlds have like their central antenna, which is their Beit HaMikdash. Just like the Beit HaMikdash on earth perceives the Shekhinah from heaven and gives it a place to be, to be absorbed, right? Every world has its Beit HaMikdash, right? Except in every world, their Beit HaMikdash is pretty much pre-built. Hashem made it for them. It gets better if we have our Beit HaMikdash on earth. And when we lose our Beit HaMikdash, their Batei Mikdashot are also somewhat disrupted, but it's there. But by us, it's so much harder, right? It's like we have no Beit HaMikdash right now. But it doesn't mean the world is lacking in Shefa. And we spoke about this really in the very first session, right? That regularly we have Shovavim, because even if we don't have Beit HaMikdash, we still have Torah on earth. And Torah will also be the column through which we draw down all sustenance, all spiritual energy for Am Yisrael and spill over to the Goyim. So just Torah alone is a certain column and is a certain antenna, right? But it's not optimal until we have a Beit HaMikdash also. And on this leap year, we get the Beit HaMikdash. We get a little bit of it, get a taste of it. We get the Truma Tetzava aspect of it. Right? But of course, when the Beit HaMikdash is missing on earth, it's called that all the Batei Mikdashot in every world has been somewhat damaged because they're all connected. So if there's a crack in the chain, or something's misaligned, that vibe that misaligns things is felt in every level. But at least in the higher worlds, there's still something left of it. Right here, God help us, right? There's no Beit HaMikdash whatsoever. Right? And then having no Beit HaMikdash whatsoever has caused damage even further up. Right? Right? And when we have Beit HaMikdash, like the energy is flowing freely and even the worlds in between benefit, it's kind of like, when you create a block, let's say you have a hose, right? And you shut down the hose at the end. So no water is going to be passing through. Any part of the hose is not going to get new energy because there's a block. It's not, the flow of energy has been stopped. So you have to know that when we have a Beit HaMikdash on earth, it's good for all the olamot in the middle, because when we're drawing energy down here, right? All the worlds that the energy has to pass through also benefit from that renewed, strong flow of energy, right? So and like we said, when the energy reaches the lowest level, that's where it makes a difference. When it reaches the end, it makes a final difference, And we always have to move the goalpost to get to a new end, and get to a new end, and get to a new end. Okay. I mean, optimally, we should have a Beit HaMikdash that brings it all down, but the Beit HaMikdash comes from the power of Torah. And the power of Torah also comes from the power of the Brit. All these things are called Brit, right? That's our connection to God. It's all called Brit, right? To bring down the energy down to the lowest level. So now that's our job as the Jewish people. And this is where we get to. So we explained, how a fruit, as in a product that we put Kedusha in this world, that's a new product. That we conquer our desires, that's a new product. That's a chidush, that's a pre. Right, that's doing something new in this world. It's such a chiddush. We're making a change. It's a great product, right? It's a great accomplishment. But also, this is the way we make Jews, because that's the Jewish mission. Our Jewish mission is, to bring the Shefa down from Shamayim to Arts. And the way to do it is with the Torah. The Torah is actually the tree, and the Torah creates this column that we could, through this column, we bring down. But Torah, you learn the Torah, so you learn it with your head. You internalize it and you take it seriously in your heart, and then you are lomed amanat la'asot, you do, right? And so now we have to realize that the Jewish people, we're the ones that, we're the tree that runs parallel to the Torah tree. Like these two trees are one, right? Torah needs, we say Torah is a tree. But the Torah needs, if the Torah is going to be generated and broadcast, let's say broadcast from heaven to earth, who's the radio? Who's the antenna that picks up the broadcast? The Jewish people. The Jewish people are the radio that picks up the broadcast of Torah, right? And depending on our level, we have pshat that we pick up the broadcast that reaches Earth mamish, and we have drush, and we pick up the broadcast that belongs to the Olam Hayetzira, and we have Remez, which we pick up the broadcast that belongs to Olam Habriya, and we have Sod, where we pick up the broadcast of the Torah of Atzilut. It's amazing. We are, the antennas that pick up the Torah broadcast. And without the Jewish people, the Torah would have no manifestation here. If God forbid the Jewish people would disappear from earth, God forbid, no matter how many Sfarim were printed, a Goy would open up the Sfarim and not understand anything. If the Goyim have picked up some messages of our Torah, the Sheva Mitzvot, they pick it up because we Jews are the radios that pick up these transmissions and we share it with the world. Without the Jews, Torah cannot be on earth. Torah cannot be on earth. We are the, it could be broadcast, but it won't be received. We are the receivers, right? We are the receivers. And that's the Jewish mission. We said about always moving the goalpost further. You say final product, but now you want to go like the tree branched out further to produce fruit on another level and another branch to produce fruit on another level. You know what that is? Those are the Jewish generations. You know why there has to be so many Jews and why it's important that there be a lot of Jews in the world? We need all the Jews. Each one is an antenna to pick up another broadcast of the Torah, pick up another broadcast of putting the Shekhinah on earth. And that's what has to do that, where we fight our desires and make the great product of fighting the desires. Because one thing about the flesh, right, and the physical world, it's full of bad desires. When we fight it and we conquer it, that's also when we make new Jews, because new Jews are to continue the antennas. Another generation is antennas to bring another broadcast of Torah, reveal another broadcast of Torah. It's true, all of Torah was given to Moshe, right? But why? It was all given to her. It was all broadcast at the time of Matan Torah. But the Tanoim picked up the Mishnah, the Amoraim picked up the Gemara. The Rishonim picked up what the Rishonim do, and the Achronim pick up what the Achronim do. Every generation picks up another frequency of the broadcast. Another, it's like Torah's broadcast on a lot of different levels, on a lot of different frequencies. Moshe knew all the different frequencies, but he taught his generation the frequency that they could hear. But he encoded in it are all the frequencies. Every generation picks up a different frequency. That's why it's so important to make more Jews, more antennas to pick up more frequencies of the broadcast of Torah that's coming down, right? And that's why the Brit is so important, right? That's you say fruit, and fruit also means to make children. Every Jew is another part of the great broadcast of bringing it from heaven to earth, from the roots in heaven down to the fruit on earth and converting earth. The earth should pick up more broadcasts of Kedusha. And with this, we can understand how terrible Pagama Brit is. Because if there will be no Brit, no Jewish people whatsoever, okay, so earth won't get any broadcasts from heaven. They won't get any Torah, and there also won't be any bracha. Right? The economy will go to pot, like the economy is going to pot. And things will go terribly wrong. Things are just for lack of energy. Pagama Brit is worse because you have your receptor that's receiving energy, and by being Pogam Brit, you're putting all that energy in the wrong place. It's like arming Iran. It's like giving billions of dollars to Iran, right? So Pagama Brit is that you picked up the broadcast, but you picked up the energy which otherwise no one would have had it. No one would have had it if just, let's say, the person who did Pagam Brit just would have never been born. So no one would have had the energy he could bring to earth. No one would have had it. But now, God forbid, a person, is a Jew, and he's Pogam his Brit, right? So he receives energy, and he moves that energy to the wrong place. That's like giving money to Iran, right? That's how you build up the Sitra worse than, Stam not doing mitzvahs, right? Or even worse than doing most averot, because you are taking the shefa that's coming down the pipe and you're putting it in the wrong place. And at least, if not for that, then no one would have that powerful energy. The energy would have just not been received. All right, this is the message I want to leave you with today. Contemplate it, think about it. We will continue further later in this week.